Your soul is not where you think it is. By nature, Homo sapiens differ from animals. A human needs to know what he is like by nature in order to integrate his psychophysiology into the surrounding world in the best possible way, in order to find his place under the sun. And it is desirable to know the answer to the question of what all this is for, and, of course, how he should live in detail. For example, I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and what? What exactly does a person need to do in order to be rich, healthy, and happy? As it is known, the answer to the question, who am I, and what am I like, is directly related to the previous question. After all, probably no one will argue with the statement that we are all different, which means that way of life of one person might not suit another person at all, and paths of happiness and success are different for everyone. Nature arranged it so that only birds, fish, cats, dogs know who they are and how they should live from birth, while Homo, even though they are sapiens, do not. Of course, one can forget about self-knowledge, join the ranks of zombies, social animals, and listen to what society says about what he should be like and how he should live. But the question is whether or not you personally want to be a zombie. However, jumping a bit ahead, things are not as difficult and bad as you think, since, as it turns out, the one or those who created us made sure in advance to leave humans detailed instructions on what they are like, what their abilities are, and how they need to live in order to be happy. However, let's get back to these instructions later on. Moreover, they were lost for dozens of centuries. Humanity did not have access to them, and has long gotten accustomed to living on the off chance as it feels like. Even though this is where troubles and problems, with which unfortunately every person is familiar, come from. Troubles, problems, and sufferings haunt humanity, not because Atlantis allegedly submerged into the ocean, Kali Yuga stage began, and so on, but simply because those who were not competent in questions like who am I, what am I like, what is my purpose, or did not wish humanity well, came to help humanity after those instructions were lost. This is how numerous philosophical and psychological theories about who a human is, what the human soul is, how people should live, what their purpose is, and so on appeared. As for religious, exploiting the natural desire to go beyond the everyday life into the space of spirit, goodness, self-perfection, and amazing abilities, which is inherent in every person. The human population was offered to believe in some Santa Clauses under different names and in different numbers. And humanity had nothing left to do but to accept those absurd, delusional, philosophical, religious ideas and supposedly scientific theories from psychology. At the same time, serious scientists do not consider psychology a science, and most guess that a man with a beard made out of cotton is nothing other than someone's unsuccessful fable. Lacking other options, what else was humanity to do? Imagine the following situation. You were given a super advanced device with many interesting functions, but you were not given instructions. All you can do is fumble with this technological miracle, since you cannot even turn it on without instructions on how to use it. The same thing happened with the modern model of Homo sapiens. By nature, they are biomachines, biorobots. And this means that without instructions and, using computer terminology, programs of what he should be like and how he should live, a person simply cannot function like a human. Figuratively speaking, he fumbled with himself like with that device, along with a stone axe, got tired of doing it, and went on to compose fairy tales. And these fairy tales were told to other people, a fairy tale called religion, a fairy tale called psychology, and many others. What are people to do? They needed to live somehow. Hence fairy tales of evolution from an ape, of that supposedly a human is just a meaningless small fry, servant of God, and a lot of other nonsense. However, this nonsense is clearly not harmless,